watching the Go Crying the Walk-In podcast. I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know. As usual, we are powered by Hospitality News and Hospitality News Magazine online. If you're into what's the latest trend in hospitality, you want to know, hey, where was the big party last night? Where were all the industry people hanging out? Maybe you're going to be buying a new piece of equipment for your restaurant. Look no further than Hospitality News Magazine and Hospitality News Magazine online. And like I've always said, if you like anything that you're watching or listening to, please give a like, subscribe to the channel, and by all means, share with any one of your people. It's always helpful. Today's guest is a very close friend of mine and a very, very accomplished chef here on Long Island. And him and his family run the Dortoni bakery empire, but he has a very, very vast experience. I want to welcome to the show my brother, Dani. How you saying, my man? What do you say?
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it, and thank you for the accolades.
Yeah, it's his day off. I dragged Donnie all the way out here to Ronkonkoma. But don't lie, Don. Don't lie.
All good. Family's away, so it was a perfect weekend.
Oh, yeah? Everybody went away? What's going on?
My wife and kids are in Colombia for a wedding, and my son is in Romania playing some tennis tournaments.
Big, good up-and-coming tennis star, your son, I understand.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully. You can retire off that.
Not thinking about that, but hopefully, he's a little young, but he's there. He's training hard.
He's in high school still?
He's in high school. I lose a frame of reference because he's homeschooled. He's been homeschooled for a long time.
Right.
But and people think homeschooled means like somebody comes to your house. That's not homeschool.
No.
Homeschool is open up a laptop and do your homework.
And start working.
Yeah. So homeschooled is not. You totally lose sight of what grade he's in. But he actually held himself back a year so that he can train even longer.
Yeah.
So he's going to be 18, but I think he's going into his senior year.
So a tennis athlete, they train all year long? They have breaks in it, or no? They're always training.
Always training all day long, competing globally.
Wow.
It's not like tennis. You compete with the entire world.
Uh-huh.
So it's a unique sport. You're competing with everybody from all over the world.
Great sport too, because you carried out your whole life. I mean, at my
Absolutely.
gym, there's these guys that look like they can barely walk, but they're out there playing
yeah.
tennis every day.
Absolutely.
Every day.
I actually haven't gotten into pickleball. I mean, I don't play tennis, but I haven't gotten into pickleball. But I've been hearing that they say,
talk.
Yeah, but it's actually worse on your joints than playing tennis because it's so intense and short.
Quick.
Blah blah blah. Yeah. So I feel that tennis will have its longevity.
Tennis will never go away.
Yeah, I don't think pickleball's taking over.
Right after everyone installs all the pickleball courts,
Right.
and pays for all that, then pickleball will be gone. That's
Yeah.
when it jumps to shark. After they spent all the money on it.
Yeah, it's like racquetball in the 80s. It was all over.
You're right about their racquetball.
Yeah, in the 80s it was racquetball.
You know, when I belong to LA Fitness, they have racquetball courts, and all the LA Fitnesses have racquetball courts, but no one's ever playing in
No.
them. I don't understand.
No.
But anyway, as I know, and as maybe a lot of people know, Dortoni is just an empire of a bakery here on Long Island. I mean, everybody understands the name. Everybody's heard the name. How many locations currently, Don?
First of all, thank you for saying that because we still take it as an honor and proud that you're referring to it. That we have 5 locations, and then, as you know, the wholesale division.
Massive.
Yeah.
So the new one is in Huntington, or that's going to be opening?
It's opening soon. Yeah.
It's opening soon.
It's in the final stages of
that's the old
building.
Pier 1 shopping center right there, across
Yes.
from the Snow House.
Yep.
Get it straight, everyone. Get it straight.
Yes. Yeah, we're developing that corner. We have other tenants going in there as well, and we're taking one of the stores for us as well.
A lot of people in Huntington, they're drooling for a Shvuya Delson, Donnie. You know what I mean?
No, it's a great area. The response so far has been great.
Old school Italians over there. It's a nice area
Italians.
right there.
And there's a lot of Hispanics, which is a big part of our clientele.
You told me the Tres Leches is the biggest cake sells by your place.
Yeah, the Hispanics are a huge up-and-coming portion of our clientele.
Of the world, my friend.
The world, absolutely. My wife is Colombian, but
you want to get that straight. You want to be sure you got that right.
Yeah. So, but they're a big portion of our clientele, and I'm proud that they are and happy that they are.
You know, my connection with you guys again because I lived, I live in Setauket in La Bambou Lingerie,
Yes.
which is under the Dortoni flag, and now is now continues to be just Dortoni. So I always had a connection with your bakery, like as just like the local neighborhood bakery. But when I went to my former job, I was a big caterer here on Long Island, and I seen the amount of wedding cake business that you guys put out. I mean, would you say you guys are like wedding cake specialists? I would say.
Yes, I mean, we probably use more fondant than anybody in the tri-state area in terms
Right.
of a bakery operation.
Now, people that don't know what fondant is, that's the difference between the cake that you just look it looks like a cake or the cake that looks like something. Because you say, I just want to cut in and say that now my wife when she turned 50, we had the party at the club, and we got a Louis Vuitton. My wife's a big shopper. I
Right.
don't want to go into that right now, but we got her a Louis Vuitton pocketbook cake. Now the whole part it was displayed out, under like lights, the whole
Right.
party. Most people thought I got her a pocketbook
bag, I know.
as the gift. When we whacked into the thing, half the party was like, "That's not a bag. That's a cake."
I know. I
So
know.
that's what fondant can do. That's the difference between a cake and a fondant cake. I wanted to cut in on that.
Well, the one little problem with those cakes is sometimes they're on par. The cost is on par with the actual bag.
Wow.
So you have
It was-
to choose which one you go.
Fortunately for me, you're a very lovely person, and I never saw the price of that cake. But
Thank you, thank you. You know, those they are like genuine replicas. I mean, just the zipper alone, they take like hours creating the zipper and
Wow.
all of that. The fondant is that pliable sugar that gives you the option to design all of those things
To
because
make the
you
thing
can
look
you can never
beautiful.
do that with buttercream.
Right.
So you have to use the rolled fondant. But we do a lot of basic buttercream cakes as well, which buttercream is actually trending right now, believe it or not.
that right?
Yeah, it's actually trending right now.
BC.
But I would think. I mean, we got voted best wedding cake in 2021 and 2022. So
Congratulations.
thank you. That was
Yeah, that's
that's
a big
big.
win.
And I would like to say we're wedding cake specialists.
I'm going to agree. We're going to say that right here, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
Dortoni Bakery. How many people like decorators? Is that like one guy's job? Two guys? Does he have a team of people over there?
We actually have, because it's a large bakery operation,
Yeah.
we have departments. So we have a fondant department, we have a buttercream department, we have a flour department. So we have a bunch of different people that work in. We have a department that just fills cakes. I mean, that's the guy's job.
Just
He
putting the filling in the
yeah,
cake.
just cutting the sponge and filling the cakes. Then there's actually on the weekends, there's people whose job is just putting the cakes in the box. That's all they do all day is put cakes in
in boxes.
Yeah, so it's funny.
Wow.
It's like an assembly line.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's like a factory, but at the same time, maintaining quality and care and detail and all that, because as you know, that's somebody's wedding cake. So
Biggest day of their life.
Yeah, and
Biggest day of their life.
it's something that you can't go fix tomorrow.
It's funny. Like the first time when I first started working at the club, they wanted me to come meet your dad. I know your dad's retired since then, but they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna go. We got to go later in the day because it's a busy bakery." I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." I guess the bakery closes like 5, 6 o'clock. We pulled up into the shopping center and left town at like 4:15. It was a Saturday. There was still a line out the door, down the sidewalk of the bakery, waiting for stuff. At like
Yeah.
after 4, the bakery was going to close in like 40 minutes, and it was
Yeah.
still a line of people.
Well, it's actually open till it used to be open till 9, but now we actually, since COVID, kept it at 8. But yeah, it's we're very fortunate. It's a busy area. It's got a big following, a loyal clientele.
You grew up in that store.
Yes, that's where I started.
When you started working for your father, how old were you?
Realistically, like not working. About 10 years old, I started to go down to the shop.
Right.
And I would say pretty much since I was 13, I pretty much worked consistently.
Working over there.
Yeah. So since I was like 13 years old, so
Your
it's been a
father
while.
was like he was a pastry chef, your father? He was mostly a businessman. Or like, how did that start for him?
That's actually a good question because it's an interesting response. We're four generations doing it.
Wow.
My great grandfather did it, my grandfather did it, my father did it, and then I did it with, obviously, as you know, a resume of other things as well. Um, but he is both. I mean, I don't, I think he would pride himself more on saying he's a businessman
Right.
because obviously, as you know, you have to,
You
it's,
got to know how to run a business.
yeah, and then with that said, being the same thing, starting at a very young age for
Right.
his father, he knew everything, but he removed himself from the baking as a fairly early age and all of that to overlook the operation. Because if you have, even if you have 20 guys working for you, if you can make those 20 guys more productive, it's better than sitting there making it
Trying
yourself.
to make cakes all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he's definitely, all well-rounded in the business and knows all aspects of the
So
baking
your
art.
father, I know, is Italian immigrant. Like, is that Sicilian or
Neapolitan.
Neapolitan? And they own bakeries back home too. I guess that's
My
what it was.
grandfather and my grandfather.
Right. And you were born over there, no?
Yes, I
Yeah.
came when I was very little. My grandfather met his wife when he went to work for her father, in the bakery. So,
Wow.
it's like, yeah, it's really, really, really a long history with,
That's
with the
awesome,
dessert,
no?
with the dessert business. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think are like some of the biggest challenges for the bakery industry now? Is it the amount of allergies people come to you with? Is it the diversity of our public now? Religious
It's
backgrounds. I can't eat this. I can't eat that. No egg in my cake, a gluten-free cake, or this. Is that a thing for you or not? Whatever. It's just a thing. Just another day.
I think that the biggest challenge moving forward is maintaining quality. That's a very big challenge. And another very big challenge is dealing with the public in the sense that this we obviously try to minimize complaints, and
Sure.
obviously we care, and obviously all of the members of the company, the higher hierarchies are working all the time. But as everything, every aspect of life, there's always going to be a problem or situation, and we try our best to reduce them. But what's challenging now is if there's an entitlement from the public that there wasn't years ago. You have the credit cards that I didn't like the color, so just cancel the charge on a credit card. Um, all the social media canvases to put your
Compete with.
complaint and no to put a complaint on and things like that.
Yeah.
It does debilitate the owners
We're
because
wide open now.
yeah,
We're
it's
wide
like
open.
that there's always a lot of what we do is customized. So with that said, again, that's not our goal is to be perfect.
Uh-huh.
We're just being realistic. That makes it very challenging. All of those things as well. Another part that made it very challenging for the bakery is that, you know, the bakery business historically was like a mom and pop shop
Right.
with a couple of guys and helpers and all of that. We're a fully compliant company and a legit business, so we compete still against a lot of people that are not.
Not.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult for our pricing because,
Right.
if you're not in compliance and we're in compliance, there's a lot of things,
Right.
a lot of expenses that go into it as well. In terms of maintaining the quality, it's a little bit different than it was, 20, 30 years ago because the labor was, as you would know, and
Half.
yeah, as all,
Half.
yeah, exactly. So that maintaining quality is a little bit more challenging than it was years ago. And with what we went through with inflation, we all have to, look how are we going to survive, and we do all in-house training. I mean, I have personally never put an ad in the paper. We
You work with
don't.
any of the schools?
No,
None
I
of
really
that.
don't.
None of that.
No, because Dortoni is like a very fast-paced environment.
Uh huh. Not a good
And
training ground.
yeah, and like the people from the schools, they like it's sacrificed what we do. I mean,
Sure.
the public doesn't really take that into consideration.
They don't
You
care.
get it, yeah. They
Nobody
don't
cares.
care. They don't. But you get it. It's Saturday night or Saturday morning or Sunday morning or all of that. Or how many times you would have texted me like, checking on something was like 9 o'clock on a Sunday.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's not that many people that want to do that. So it's
So staffing is
sacrificed.
always a challenge.
Staffing is a challenge. We do all in-house training. I mean, anybody who works there, and I have a philosophy, which is if somebody walks in, say somebody just walks in or wants a job,
Looking for a job.
that's it. We hire them, and then we
See
figure
what
out, we
happens.
place them. If it works, that's great. If not, fine. But anybody who walks in will get a job
No,
there.
I agree.
Almost anybody.
I agree.
Like almost anybody walks in the bakery
You never know.
is getting a job.
You never know.
Because we always need somebody. We're always and somebody wants the job, then we try and train them, and we train them old school, correctly, all of that.
You could tell by looking at them right in the beginning if they're going to be able to do
Pretty
or
much
what they're going to be able to do.
pretty
Right?
much, yeah. That's like a big part of what we do is just training.
Sometimes you stay sweeping the floor. Sometimes you're working with Ronnie.
Yeah, and that's like what Ronnie and I do during the day, which is just like basically, I think he'll be good here, or he's leaving. Let's put that one from here.
Right.
It's like literally, it's like a chess game all day long with placing the people, and the other challenges is within the bakery because there's so many products. We're not Chick-fil-A that has like 5, 6 different items. It's
Couple
there's
things.
like thousands. So always seeing what's trending and what's going to change or what slows down, what's going in more, what's selling less, things like that. In other words, there's historically there's like spikes. There are eras when the donuts are selling a lot and all types
Right.
of donuts. Then there's eras when there was like the cake pops, and there's eras there was like
Right.
the French macaroons were really popular for like 5, 6 years, and so there's constantly something
gotta follow
trending.
those trends.
Yeah, you have to follow, and you want to try and set them as well, and keep ahead of the
You
competition.
a social media guy? You look at like a lot of that, or you figure
No,
it
I-
out on your own?
I definitely do because you have to.
Got to.
And I just enjoy that in general, researching. I just inherently enjoy researching,
No.
whether it's a car, so I definitely do it for
You
the
don't go in
business.
blind on anything.
No, I like to study and I like to know everything about what we're doing. Even though the public is not that inquisitive, I still like to know about it.
Now, as far as trends go, are you paying attention to things that are happening in Europe and Italy, or is it things that are happening in New York City that you try and catch a vibe from? Like, where does it start in your world?
That's a good question, and I'm going to give an answer that some people might not like. But in Italy and in Europe, the pastries and cakes tend to be very
Better, right?
No, they tend to be very traditional
traditional.
and don't change much.
Okay.
Whereas here, it's so fast-paced,
Right.
multicultural clientele and population,
Right.
and things just tend to move a lot faster here. Whereas if you go to a pastry shop, let's say in Rome,
Uh-huh.
they tend to be more traditional, like the same pastries and all of that. That doesn't mean they don't innovate. That's not what I'm saying. But it's
Okay.
not like here, where like
You got to be on top of it.
yeah, there's like a party planner coming in, or this or that, or whoever wants to outdo the last person with something different at their party.
Guy saw a square croissant cooked on
Right.
on Instagram.
Right,
Square
so-
cooked in a box. You seen it, right?
Right. Yes.
What
So-
the hell is that all
Yeah,
about?
so the trends are a lot faster here, and it tends to be a little less traditional and
Right.
more progressive that way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I see it.
Is there anything you feel like you're doing now over there that's like very, very hip and very new that you want to tell everybody about?
In general, it's I would say what's hip is like Barbie came out, so now all of a sudden we did Barbie cupcakes,
Everything's
Barbie,
pink.
we did all kinds of things. So, excuse me, I would say it's hip in terms of following what's popular at the moment.
Right.
As far as trendy, we don't every day we come in and try and see what we could do different and what we can make taste better. I never ever am complacent ever. I mean, every day. And because my job is not to produce, I have that opportunity and flexibility to be looking and thinking and using my mind to say, what can I do to make it better?
With a better set of eyes.
Yeah, like okay, we yesterday 3 different changes I made. I said, okay, let's brush the Danish with butter when it comes out of the oven
Right.
now, not just put it in the dough. Well, when
Right.
it comes out and it's nice and hot, we'll brush with butter. I know that will tenderize the dough, that will make it taste better. So always trying to improve the product, always trying to come up with what the thing with the with the public here in New York, which is different than other places, is that people tell you what they want.
Uh-huh.
That's not everywhere. In other
No.
words,
Outside of New York or Long Island. No.
yeah, it's not really like, let's say you
They
have
get in line, they just follow whatever it is.
yeah, if you go to a pastry shop in Berlin, the clientele is not really telling you, as they have their classic line of desserts, and you pick which one you want, and it's not as demanding.
Right, right.
Hey, it's your boy Chef Cholo from the Go Crying to Walk In podcast. And if you're like me, you yearn for that old school relationship between purveyors and chefs. Nowadays, they got me going on a website, looking up my own orders, placing my own orders. I don't even know if the thing's going to get delivered the next day. I got nobody to talk to. If you're looking for that old school service with aggressive pricing, look no further than American Food Connection. What you do is you call the number at the bottom of the screen, you ask for Danny, and you get it straight. You already know.
So, me and you made this strong connection in the beginning, and I don't know if people realize it, but I know why. It's because you're not just a pastry guy. You're a chef. You had before your dad retired and you really put all yourself back into the bakeries. You were you had the marketplace. Let's hear a little bit about how that all started. Catering. Now, Messina's Market was one of the first places that you had like that wasn't just a bakery?
Well, the family has been in many different parts of the food business. Believe it or not, I don't even know if I've ever told you this, but we started, I don't remember how, 30 years ago. We started to import and export produce. Believe it or not, I don't think I ever told you
never
this.
told me that.
Yeah, so we started to import and export produce from Mexico, and we used to import it to the United States and actually ship abroad to Europe and avocados to Japan.
Really?
Yep. So we used to make deals with the growers in Mexico, import by truckloads, not pallets of truckloads, and sell to Hunt's Market, different supermarkets, different supermarket chains.
You didn't hold anything. Everything
No,
was just moving.
Yeah, and always moving, and it was too large for even our own operation. We used to import, for instance, there was a company called the Wilmark. They used to make the strawberry fillings for the bakeries. We used to import the frozen strawberries from Mexico and sell them by the truckload to them.
Really?
Yeah, so did that part. Restaurant that the family had, the Cafe Girasole. I don't know if you knew
Yep,
that.
yep.
For many, 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 many years, a very high-end restaurant in the North Shore. Really great, real Dolce Vita feel to the restaurant,
Uh-huh.
but a real Dolce Vita, not some.
Not what they're reproducing now.
Yeah,
these
like a
giant
really,
stores,
yeah, really, really Dolce Vita. The gentleman that ran the place was from Rome.
Wow.
Never walked in with a suit that wasn't pressed and
$1 million every day.
yeah. And real high quality with a clientele that paid for it, so allowed us to use the best of everything and so on and so forth.
Right. This is in
Then
the 80s? 90s?
this was in the 90s.
90s.
Then, as well as expanding the bakeries, we opened the Messina Market in I think it was like 2000.
Right.
Messina was a great chapter and era. It was prepared foods, and
Before all these
Yes.
Giuseppe's.
yes, yeah, it really
and-
was before all of that.
There wasn't any of that back then.
No, and
There was
mo-
a deli and
Yes.
then the deli. That
And-
was it.
And we had like 90 dishes of food that we
Prepared
prepared
stuff.
every single day. And anywhere from tuna that people used to drive 30 minutes for, to to a Cornish hen, an herbed Cornish hen, to Chilean sea bass. I mean, we were preparing Chilean sea bass for our showcase a long time ago, before people even knew what Chilean sea bass was.
Before it was outfished.
Yes, and we had the clientele that would pay for it, because Chilean sea, as you know, is
wonderful.
So, it really an extensive line of prepared foods. We were one of the first people to have an open kitchen in the front, where like you'd walk up and you'd ask the chef to make you an omelet. You actually told him what you wanted to, and he would cook it right in front of you. Pasta made at the moment in front of you. A chopped salad station.
Wow.
And then we had our catering division, which was a very, very, very extensive catering
Being
division.
in that neighborhood.
Yes, I mean, we did every holiday, every Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and I mean, in all the specialties.
Right.
I mean, literally from not just potato pancakes. I mean, we did everything from matzo ball soup.
People pick up their Seder over there. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
We did Seder plates.
Really?
Everything. But
so it's not just a feast of the seven fishes for you.
No,
Donnie.
not at all.
Right, Eddie? You got it.
Let's say like an Uncle Giuseppe's. They have their line of that Italian line of food.
I don't know. I go in there. I've been in there recently. There's one next to my gym. I didn't go for years, and then I joined a new gym, and there was one in the shopping center. I walk around in there. I don't know what to do. There's so many things. I'm staring at all these things. I don't know how they sell it all.
I know.
They tell me it sells. 15 kinds of buffalo mozzarella.
I know.
This one, that one, this one, truffle, macaroni, sauces.
I know they do well, and God bless them.
But they weren't around back then.
They weren't.
No Stu Leonards, no Giuseppe's, none of that.
Nothing. And
but you saw it. You saw there was a need for it.
Yeah. No Ivorone brothers.
No Ivorone. I remember. I was around.
Which is a great operation.
Again, all great people.
Yeah, I don't want to
saying one word about anybody.
But we were really like.
But different. It's like a supermarket now. It's a different vibe.
Very. The super when we started, supermarkets were supermarkets. Like
nothing special.
Yeah, you know what a supermarket was.
Sally
back
Sherman
in the day.
potato salad.
Right. So the supermarkets. Then what happened? Costco came in, started adding all their foods, all their stuff. So then what happened? The supermarkets leveled up.
They had to do better.
And they kept leveling up and leveling up. But when we started a supermarket, people. I was telling you the other day, like Skinny Pop. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Of course.
Pop. Okay. That lady actually.
They were kissing your ass.
Literally, I don't want to say that if she, but they actually.
It's a kid show. It's a kid show.
They actually were. She was like so ambitious about getting her product into our store, constantly.
Because there's a million bodies in the store all day long.
And they wouldn't. She wouldn't put that in a supermarket back then. That was just not
fit.
done.
It
was just not done. Tate's Cookies. Oh my God!
I mean, cookies.
The guy literally, he was like. Oh, could we? He was so proud to be selling in a small gourmet store, like a small gourmet.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted. Like, I'm not putting my product in the supermarket.
Regular supermarket.
Yeah, that was like.
Now you get it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Bagel store got Tate cookies.
Everywhere. Costco. So that dynamic changed.
I like the little ones. I got these little ones now. You see that? The Tate was like that big. It's like you can put them in a bowl with milk, like cereal.
Well, now it's like a very big company that bought them out.
Ted from Minter County threw the butter number at me one day.
Oh, how much butter did they use?
Yeah. I fell off the chair.
Yeah,
I fell off the fucking
it's
chair.
Huge. And the beauty of that, not to be, is there's one couple of products.
There's not a lot of things coming out of it.
Yeah, it's a couple of products. It's not,
Some cookies.
Yeah, it's a couple of products.
I like
That's
those
about it.
Cookies. Yeah, cookies is hot business now. Am I right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make a special cookie.
Yes, their cookie. I think their niche was that it was so thin, like you said.
It was just different.
Not too much flour, and it was, it was an intense and buttery,
very
sugary,
crispy,
and all of that. So I think that was their niche. I actually am shocked that they scaled it the way they did with that packaging. I never could believe that. It was like you literally someone would just open it up, have a cookie, close it up back together, and put it back on the shelf. I was always shocked about that. That was like
no. Now it has two packages in it. Now inside the green bag, there's two plastic holders that are wrapped. You have to open each one of those. So there's like 2 little stacks in there.
You
What would I know? I never eat Tate's cookies, Eddie. I never had one. I don't know. I never put a scoop of ice cream in between 2 Tate's cookies and ate it like a sandwich.
We used to carry all kinds of. My brother really used to take care of all that, carrying all these like gourmet products that like people would travel for. Just think about it. There was no Amazon. That's huge. If you wanted
You wanted a Toblerone triangle candy bar, you had to go over there.
Yeah. We used to have, let's say, specialty chocolates that were like people would literally drive from Queens
to get that.
They'd come in and spend like $150 on all of these chocolate bars. Wow. Obviously, they weren't going to eat it all at once, but they didn't. Where else were you going to get it?
If you went there once and you knew they had it there, people they're into it, man. They want to go. Oh, let's go to the market.
But now you just go on Amazon. You want something, or it's there in the next day. So it changed the dynamics a lot.
I've never not found what I wanted on Amazon. Isn't that strange?
That's what I'm saying. Messina's still around, and they're doing a nice job. We sold it, and nice lady is running it now. But it was a very different dynamic 20 years ago than what it was now.
You have to get pizza in there too, no? Was it pizzeria was next to it, or that was part of it?
To differentiate, we did our pizza originally on a grill. In other words, we would roll out the dough, and they would
like a campfire pizza.
Yeah, we put it right on the grill, and it was grilled pizza.
Yeah.
So it was a little different, and they tasted different,
like
but
Boy
yet
Scouts.
it was So but literally on the grill, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've done it in other restaurants.
Yeah,
I had no idea you were doing that, but
we did that a long time ago to differentiate. Sound cool, baby grilled pizzas. They were individual pizzas. In Messina at the time, we really tried to offer like a million different products to everybody. Somebody could walk in and get a deli sandwich. Someone can get soup because you can take a soup out of the showcase and heat it up. And we made from scratch like 25 types of soup every
day.
A day, yeah. And they fulfilled all the different personalities, all of our type of clientele, which was butternut squash to Italian wedding to all different types of soups.
Some guy making little meatballs in the back all day.
Yeah, we did make the meatballs. Made everything from scratch. And obviously all healthy, all organic, all good stuff. No,
a lot of catering out of there?
The catering was huge. It was like
So you had now? Would you just supply people with the food, or you were you were doing the equipment?
I'm gonna go back now to really the early days. Obviously, in the year 2000, there was the internet, but it was not accessible like it is now from an iPhone.
It was only for porn. It was only for porn.
No. But you know what I'm saying.
Don, it was.
Basically. So,
first time I had a computer in my office, they were like, yeah, there's internet on that computer. I was like, what do you do with that? They were like, oh, you watch the Pam and Tommy video. That's what you do.
Probably. But
I didn't know.
Now you want to go on the internet, you access it from your iPhone. Everybody has a smartphone. Who's not carrying it
right now?
So you wanted, if you were having a party, you needed an ice sculpture. You would come to the catering specialist and you'd be like, okay, I need an ice sculpture.
Right.
We did everything. Everything.
Yeah, man.
Then little by little, people started to outsource their own things for catering. And towards the end, we're doing mostly food and staffing.
Right.
But for many, many years, people would have a funeral, people would have a shiva, all of that. They would call, and they didn't want to get involved and start finding it. So, yes, we did full service catering for many, many years.
Anything stand out that was really, like, super cool?
One of the coolest thing that I think that we ever did was we turned an airplane hangar into a black tie wedding.
Wow.
And the kitchen area that we had to use was actually the mechanical area,
right,
where it was like literally we had to like push everything to the side during the day, set up the kitchen in this airplane hangar. And if you saw it, the day before, you could not even believe there was going to be a black tie wedding in there. It was in Glen Cove. I don't remember what it's called, but we set it up with drapery and lighting and we did. I mean, it was really a black tie. We had filet mignon and all of that. Cooked the whole thing. We cooked it in the back, and that was quite an interesting. That was unique, if anything. Event. We did another crazy event that we did, and I think I had mentioned this to you, was for the school. I just lost my train of thought.
Friends Academy, you said?
No, not Friends Academy. In the all boys school in Mineola. Chaminade, yeah. We were very big caterers for Chaminade, and they used us for many, many events, but they did this huge function. I think
On
it was
campus.
on campus, no kitchen. I mean, literally,
They don't have a kitchen over there?
we didn't have access to a kitchen. And
Right.
we did a huge event for like, the fundraiser event for like maybe 400, 500 people.
Wow.
We did a cake that was in the shape of the new school.
Yeah.
We were opening up a new
Fondant
school.
cake.
Yeah, fondant cake.
course.
It was a 3D cake. It was like almost the size of this table.
No.
Crazy.
Like what you see on that show that guy makes.
Yes.
Made the toilet cake, Eddie. I'm going to get that for you, the toilet cake.
Oh, I could tell you about cakes that we did that are just crazy. But we did this off-premise catered.
It's come a
with
long way
no
from
kitchen.
the tit cake.
Oh my God. You know,
The
actually,
penis cake. Come a long way from the penis cake.
to talk about cakes, you know, I took wedding cakes in the 80s, orders, and we had an album. We opened up the album.
Right.
There was like, 8 pages of pictures, and it was like, which one do you want? Which 3 of them had fountains.
Right.
And,
The bridge, right?
Yeah, the bridge and the
Right.
fountains, and the other 4
like
were like,
Goodfellas.
yeah, those were the fancy ones.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
were the high-end cakes with the fountain.
Mickey Balls had that on his cake, he told me.
Yeah, and there was like 3 other ones to choose from. You opened up the album. Which one would you like?
Right.
And they
But it
looked
was
at
easier
it.
back then, right?
Easier back then. It was like, can you make the flowers this color
They
or this,
asked
that?
you. They
Yeah.
asked you, right?
Now it's like then we went to an era where we had our own. We had an iPad. My brother created this iPad where it had like 2,000 pictures.
Your brother
of cakes.
invented the iPad?
No, he created an iPad.
I knew
for
Corey
the
was a
stores.
smart guy.
He is smart, but he did this. He created this. I guess he didn't create the iPad. We took an iPad and created these albums
Right.
where people would walk in
Go
and they would
through.
say, "Yeah, it was like basically what Pinterest is, except we did it on our own for our clientele. So we'd have it categorized into modern cakes, traditional cakes, and we had our own. We had an iPad with our own albums of pictures. And we used that for many years, but then what happened is then with Pinterest and the internet, people just came and showed us
Their
the
own
pictures.
stuff, man.
Yeah, you didn't have to show them anymore, so we don't even use that anymore.
That
We don't have
Pinterest, boy.
we don't have it. I was in one of the shops recently, and a lady, she was a mature lady to say, she came in and she says, "Oh, can I see an album of the cakes?" And I happened to hear her. I was like, "Man,
I gotta go
I
find
know,
it.
I know what you're talking about, but that's like." We haven't done that in a very, very
I'm gonna
long
I'm
time.
gonna go blow the dust off the album
it's
box.
you have? Can I see your album? No, we don't have an album.
There's something
anymore of the
refreshing about
cakes.
that, though, brother.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? To
especially
find a
when-
person that still thinks like that.
Yeah, when there was 8, it was great because I
Yeah.
would bring you back to those 8 cakes. You picked which one it was.
8 piece of paper. Here you go.
Yeah,
Here you go.
that's
Tutti Fanutti.
that's what it was. But as far as with catering, it was a lot of cool events. Like because there's the North Shore, we did some beautiful parties at people's on like homes. I mean, we did a wedding at Sean Hannity's house that it was like
Amazing.
outrageous. It was an outrageous event. The whole event in and of itself was insane. I'll tell you what happened. So at the time, he does this like 300 hired us for a 300-person wedding.
His kid getting married or something?
No, I think it was his
Another
wife's
kind of family
sister.
member.
And he was great. He was a gentleman, and he was all of that. And he gave us a lot of respect to do what we have to do. We did a site visit, all
That
of that.
voice of his, though, boy. Oh, man.
Well, as
Anyway.
he was a
Kid
great
show,
client.
Kid show.
So he gives us a lot of respect. We go to the house, this, that, and the other thing. At the time, I think it was the biggest party that we ever did, or
At the time,
at
right?
the time, yeah, because it was a while ago. So we're we had party planners. I didn't plan the parties, but a party like that, I was certainly involved. So I was thinking to myself, I said, what is the chances it's going to be bad weather? Like, what's the chances? I was like, all right, I'm going to think about that. It was
Murphy's
like,
Law.
I don't want to think about it. And it's, in the end of the day, it's not really my problem, but I'm not going to think about it. Anyway, what do you think happens?
Hurricane.
Literally.
Oh, my God.
Week of the wedding, checking the weather.
Not looking
And the
good.
weather, we didn't have iPhones back then, so you kind of like,
You had to watch TV.
you had to watch TV. So it wasn't like
Newspaper.
now that like, it's like hour by hour or participation.
We got radar on the phone now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a precipitation, not participation. So it was, it was, anyway, long story short, day of the wedding, it's literally basically a hurricane.
Oh,
So Sean is saying to us, the day before, don't worry, it's going to pass. So we're under the presumption maybe
Okay.
he knows things that we don't. Maybe he has access to information we don't.
Maybe
so I
he
was
got
like,
the NORAD in his house.
something. If he's okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Call weddings at 6 o'clock. It's literally like I'm telling you, bad weather.
Massive.
I'm not talking about like drizzle. I'm talking about wet. It's an outdoor party. His house is on the water.
On the grass.
So he calls at 11 o'clock, asks to speak to me, of which I never really had been engaging with him because whatever they was doing with the party planner. He's like, I'm going to move the party in the house. I was like, Mr. Hannity, I
are we
can't
gonna do
move
that?
that in the house that fast. He's like, he said along the lines like, I'm not really asking, just make it happen. So I didn't want to like be an opportunist,
Right.
but I knew it was going to be a fortune to do this. So I was like, he's like, just make it happen. Called like 20, 30 people. Like, listen, you're going to get paid extra. You got to come here. And we moved the entire party,
Oh my
wedding
God.
into the house. But the best part of this story was it was like the best wedding ever. And sometimes that happens.
Rain stopped the minute you were done.
No, it didn't. It rained. But sometimes with inclement weather.
Or adversity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people have great times.
You're
and
right.
like I'm sure
Of
it was
course.
horrible out there or
Of course.
snowstorm out there and it turned out to be like a great
One
wedding.
of the best weddings.
Yeah, people are inside, they're having like a great time. They made it there, they don't care and blah blah blah. So a lot of war stories, a lot of crazy things with catering. It definitely
Great business catering.
It is. It definitely sharpened my critical thinking because you're
Yeah.
constantly, as you know,
Gotta be
you're
on point.
constantly figuring things out
Changing all day.
and all of that. But we did that for 20 years, and now we decided to put all of our efforts back into just the bakeries,
Right.
working hard and expanding, taking on more accounts, and we have some long-term goals which we're working on. We would like to ship our products. That's going to be
When you say shipping, like a gold belly type of thing, or no, you do this on your own?
haven't made those decisions yet.
Right.
We're focusing on branding, really getting the name. In the last couple of years, we really redid our packaging so that the name is everywhere.
Is there certain products that you're saying that this is going to be something that you want to like be able to ship? Are there certain things that people that Dortoni's famous for? That
Certainly
you think,
the rainbow cookies.
of course,
That's a
course.
great product. It's
rainbow cookie everything. Now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's shelf stable. It's like pretty easy to
Yeah.
and
They stay fresh, nice and long.
when my daughter went back to college, I sent my wife went to see her, set her up, whatever. I sent her a box of cookies. In the end of the day, it was a very small box. It made her so happy.
Right.
Her friends loved it, and she's like texting me, "Dad, this was great. It was like I loved it, blah blah blah." And I was
We
thinking to
need
myself, for like a 2 pounds of rainbow cookies to make people this
Went
happy.
a long way.
Yeah, it went a long way, and it's like you could do this. It's
Light bulb went off.
It's a scalable product. So rainbow is definitely one of them, and it's also rainbow is for everyone. It's not an Italian
What about
item.
that round cinnamon bread that you have at all the stores?
People love
I make
that.
French toast out of
I
that.
know. It's
Do
actually
people do that? They make French toast out
It's
of that?
actually on the sign in the store that says perfect for French toast.
It is, man.
I know. My kids love it too.
I stumbled across it.
Really?
You invented that, I think. I don't see that anywhere.
It's,
What kind of mold does that get cooked in? It looks like it's cooked in a coffee can.
It's cooked in the mold that we use for Stollen.
Oh,
It's the
for
same
Stollen.
For
Okay,
Stollen mold,
right,
yeah.
right.
But once again, we actually make that dough from scratch.
It's awesome.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. The schmear inside is very very basic with just good things. There's
Right.
of course a lot of butter in there,
Gotta have it.
but
One time
the
we interviewed a pastry chef at a Brooklyn diner, and he came in and he brought all his cookies and he put them all on the table. And there's a big, Shelley Fireman, there's a big restaurateur in New York, and a bunch of all his chefs are there. The guy lays all the cookies out, and we're all eating cookies. And he goes, someone says, "Well, what are the cookies?" He goes, "These are the butter cookies." And the one guy raised his hand. He goes, "There's no butter in any of these cookies." It was like all shortening. You know what I mean? And like everybody at the table knew it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it just goes to show you the guy came in, he presented everything. He thought he knew what he was doing. He thought, and probably every bakery he worked in didn't use real butter in the cookies, used shortening or partial butter. And at the end of the day, he thought he had something. So when you say all butter, I know what you mean. You know what I mean? I know what you're saying.
Listen, you have to use the right ingredients in the product, and I'm not telling you. We're just talking.
Yeah.
Is that you cannot fool around. When eggs hit $180 a case, which whoever knows in our industry is insanity. They were like $180
They were
for
like
30 dozen.
$40 a box. They were for
Right.
100 years.
Right. And one day I do taste test periodically. I really focus on taste testing. It's not
Yeah.
like I don't really pick every day. And then I pick certain days and I do taste testing. So I tasted our cookie dough and I said, you know what? It's too short. So I added eggs to our cookie dough to tenderize the dough.
Right.
When the eggs were $180.
At the time when no one was adding eggs.
Nobody that I know would add eggs when they're $180 a case to do
The
that.
diner guys were trying to figure out how to sell something else that
Yeah,
week.
and most people will be taking it out. But I always try to be, and we always try to be, like 10 years out. You know, like it's not about
Ahead of the game.
today.
Ahead of the
Like
game.
keeping the clientele happy, keeping the people coming back, keeping the quality up, the service, and all of that. It's like
Yeah.
really what's the priority.
Yeah.
Then everything else falls into place.
You're right. When
It
you-
all falls into place after
I
that.
tell my cooks, I tell everybody that I work for, people that I work with, I say, listen, this cooking has to be very basic. You have to do the most simplest things, the best you possibly can, and you're going to get the best results. You don't hear about those fancy practices anymore on food. Food is now all coming back to the more basic preparations, the things that we know in our heart that we make us feel good. You don't hear about molecular gastronomy anymore, and
Yes.
additives to food to make it stand on the floor 15 feet. It's like, is this a great hamburger? There's more emphasis on hamburgers and French fries now today than there has been ever, because people you have to do it now. How can I offer you a great meal at a great price and have you come back tomorrow? I have to give a lot of value. I have to do a lot of things. So how do I give value? I got to bring it down to the basics. You don't want to be McDonald's and just keep making the thing smaller. I never see that out of your store. No, you never get the idea to just keep making it smaller. No, you just got to make it better and hope people get through it.
A big focus for us is keeping the clientele. Because first of all, as you discussed before, we sell wedding cakes. So our goal, when we were in cater, one time, I'll tell you a crazy story. One time was in Messina, and this guy was standing on line, and I don't really know what was the issue, but he was getting agitated. I was talking to a friend of mine in the store, and I was observing, and he got agitated, whatever it is, I don't know what it was, and he left. So I got upset.
Right.
And my friend's like, who cares? He looks like I think he was he just looks like he was buying a sandwich. I said, I know, but that's the guy who's going to come back and cater.
Yeah.
That's who's going to come back and cater. Somebody comes into the bakery every day and they're buying whatever that it is. It could be a small item. The guy who's coming in and buying coffee and a muffin a couple of times a week, when he has to get his wedding cake, where do you think he's going to get it?
Going to the bakery.
He's going to get it from.
going to the
So
bakery.
it's important to keep your clientele.
You're right.
It's all about the clientele. And you guys, when you're at Crest Hollow, they always prioritize the clientele. We do that. All the successful people
You have
do that.
to.
Prioritize
Customers
their
number one.
Yeah, customers number one. They're not always right, but
Especially
they're
the
number one.
especially the special occasion business.
Yes.
You got one chance to make the biggest day of their life, whether it's your wedding
Yes.
or your anniversary or your birthday. And
And
it's
that-
cool because it's not like regular dining. Regular diners, they could have a fight in the car on the way over.
Yes.
Somebody, spilled something on them and did this or that. So weddings, people come in kind of happy. You know what I mean? So all you got to do is continue that. You know what I mean?
I'll give you some good wedding stories. So obviously, as you know, we deliver all over. It's not
Everywhere.
like we don't just deliver. Our wedding cakes have gone from Montauk to North Carolina.
Wow.
So
That's a long ride for Tony to go all the way to North
Yeah.
Carolina.
so one day we brought a very high end wedding cake to New Jersey, and those kinds of things I still kind of like to know that it's all said and
That it
done.
happened
you
well,
know,
right.
yeah. Like I don't really. Obviously, I can only manage and know the details to an extent, but that's something I want to know. So this wedding cake's going there, and it's an expensive wedding cake, $2,000, blah blah blah. And I'm at the dinner with a friend of mine, and he has a big construction company, and we're talking, and this, and I was checking my phone. I was like, I'm sorry, so I had this wedding cake is going into wherever in New Jersey. They just got there, thank God. So he goes to me, okay. He goes, what would you do if it didn't get there? I said we don't have Plan B. It's not really.
Cross
it
that
doesn't.
bridge when we get to
It
it.
doesn't exist. Plan
No,
B. It's. There's no Plan B.
No, you can't drop the
That's
wedding
really
cake on the floor.
no Plan B.
You
It's
can't
like
fix it.
just pray for the best,
Mhm.
and that's about it.
People don't realize that.
Yeah,
They don't know
there's
that.
not
No, they
there's
don't
not this big Plan B if the cake is going far away.
They don't know that.
So I tell you another a bad wedding cake story. So years ago, this girl works for me many years, works for us, leaves, whatever, gets older, whatever, comes back like I don't know, 8-9 years later. She's in the shop. She said, "Oh, I'm getting married." I was like, "Oh, congratulations!" She was such a nice girl. Congratulations, this and that. She's like, well, I said, "Where?" She said, "Somewhere in the city. I don't remember."
Right.
So I was like, "We're doing a wedding cake, right?" She's like, "No, I'm going to get in the city because I'm worried." I was like, "What are you worried about?" She's like, "I don't know, the delivery. It's in January. God forbid, of a snowstorm." I said, "That's for us to worry, not for
Yeah,
you." I said,
yeah.
"I'm not looking to sell. You worked here for so
Your
many
family.
years." Exactly. She's like, "You think so?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, order the cake. Let them give you a family discount, whatever that it is, and let's do your wedding cake.
Right.
She's like, "Okay." And then she got excited about it.
Yeah.
Whatever. So time comes, deliver the cake. I get a call from the driver. There's a problem. I'm like, "What's up?" She's like, the wedding cake fell. We were carrying it up a flight of stairs. There were no elevator.
Oh,
We had to carry it up
I've
like
seen that
five
happen.
flights of stairs, and the wedding cake fell. I said, "All right, you're joking, obviously. I know you're kidding with me." She's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Stop. I know you're kidding." Because I thought she was just joking around just to
Right.
tease me, because it doesn't really happen. To be honest, by the grace of God, it doesn't really happen that often.
I only seen it once in my whole career.
Okay, so
Drop.
she's like, "No, I'm not kidding." I'm like, that's one of those moments you're like, is this for real?
Now what?
Yeah. So we put like 3 people together to work on the wedding cake, okay? Well, we have one guy's filling one sponge, one guy's whatever. We put together the cake, and then we put it in the freezer for like 3 hours,
Right.
2 hours, which is
So you
not,
can travel the freaking thing.
yeah. And obviously, it's the same stairs have to go up,
You
so
gotta get up
it's
them stairs
the
still.
same stairs, and it was small stairs from an old building in the city.
Oh yeah.
And the cake really needs to set overnight. A wedding cake has to really set over. That's how it really is going to
Right.
keep structural integrity.
Right.
Throwing the cake, if we didn't make it the first time, the second time is even more risky because you had no time to do it.
Yeah.
But funny story, we did it. I was so stressed until they got to the city. They got it up the stairs, put it on display. I didn't say anything, of course, whatever. And I saw her like 2 months later, and she's like, "Oh, I loved my cake, blah blah blah." I said, "Do you know what happened?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like,
She
"Do you
don't
know
know.
what?" She knew idea, thank God.
Perfect.
So it worked out, but
Perfect.
it's definitely
I thought you were
definitely
gonna say
stressful.
she got divorced.
No, she might, but it's very stressful to do that. It's not fun to deliver those cakes all over.
I know. Well, brother, we have a new sponsor. You want to be a part of one of my new little tricks we go in here?
Sure.
One of my new sponsors. We're sponsored by a Great South Bay Brewing Company here
Great.
in Bayshore, one of the awesome micro beers here on Long Island. And today we're featuring the original Blonde Ambition. So when you go into a microbrewery, the last thing you want to do is give me a Bud Light. You know what I mean?
course.
So you look at the menu real quick. You see anything that says, I find out they use blonde a lot of these breweries. That's gonna put you in the right genre. So if you like a lighter beer, so ours is called the Blonde Ambition. So the featured question today: what 90s pop star headlined the Blonde Ambition tour? For $62 million grossing Blonde Ambition tour, featuring her 2 albums, Like a Virgin and the one from the Dick Tracy movie. Madonna. Wow, Don, if you didn't get that right, there would have been a
Hard
big
one,
problem
yeah.
here today. So again, the trivia question of the day was sponsored by, again, Great South Bay Brewing Company. We'd like to thank those guys over there for all their support.
Thank you, guys.
All right? So, Don, this has been an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
I thank you for coming down today and being
Thank
a
you for
part of this
having
whole
me.
thing. You know what I mean?
Thank you for having me. You're a
And,
gentleman. You're great
I'm
guy.
going to make you get to these ACF meetings in September because we need a real captain like you, brother.
You don't have to make me. I enjoy it. I enjoy going. I enjoy being with you. I enjoyed working with you because I don't know, like we worked together.
We
That's
worked
like that was
together.
like a big part of our relationship. We worked together.
We'll always be around together, brother.
Thank you.
You
No,
never
I
know what could
appreciate
happen.
it.
You never know what
I
happens in this
appreciate it.
world. You know that.
Of course. But I appreciate it just as
All
much.
right. And again, you are watching the Go Crying the Walk-In podcast. I am Chef Cholo, and you already know. That's it.